I promised myself when I left the White House, I would try to live in the present and for the future.
Ex-President Bill Clinton has finally spoken up about the persistent suspicions that have dogged him for decades. Clinton has now spoken out, at the age of 78, to validate the rumors that have dogged him ever since he was in office. So what exactly has one of the most divisive people in American politics revealed? Concerning his presidency and legacy, how did his affair with Monica Lewinsky affect things? At the age of 78, Bill Clinton confirms the rumors with his trademark honesty and charisma. U.S. President Bill Clinton, the 42nd in line to the presidency, is multifaceted. Audiences have been enchanted by his distinctive manner, charisma, and charm for decades. His boundless energy and excitement are contagious, regardless of the audience size. A throng of thousands or a small group of supporters that Clinton addresses. He's not afraid to shake things up and try new things. He's also a risk-taker. Now, at the age of 78, Bill Clinton is returning to discuss an incident from his past that he really regrets. Clinton opens himself in a way he never has before in the 4-part Hulu documentary that follows the lives of the former president, both professionally and personally. How Clinton rose to become one of America's most divisive figures is another topic explored in this riveting and illuminating series. Much internet debate has ensued after Hillary Clinton said that her husband's affair with Monica Lewinsky was not an abuse of power. It's worth noting that Clinton herself does not share this opinion. What transpired behind closed doors was reflected in Clinton's confession, which was unexpectedly honest and full of emotion. Disclosures about Clinton's affair with Monica Lewinsky were made public. Recognizing the seriousness of his acts, he conveyed profound remorse. Clinton expressed his deepest condolences and acknowledged the difficulties his marriage had endured. He took full responsibility, stating his actions were unacceptable, and offered no justifications or explanations. The disaster that has become intertwined with Clinton's legacy began in January of 1998. President Clinton's romance with White House staffer Monica Lewinsky caused a media frenzy when the news surfaced. Not only was this a personal scandal, but it also had serious legal ramifications, making it political explosives. The massive investigations into the Whitewater property deal had ground to a standstill due to the uncooperativeness of several potential witnesses, which had raised suspicions that the White House was trying to purchase their quiet. An investigator saw a recurring pattern when a disgruntled White House employee named Linda Tripp approached them with evidence of the president's secret relationship with the Lewinsky. Lewinsky was protecting Clinton because she was being bribed with job offers. Both the president's personal and financial lives were drawn into the inquiry into the issue. The nature of Clinton's connection with Lewinsky was the subject of oath-taking questions. The inquiry that led to allegations of improper activity against Clinton and, ultimately, his impeachment was uncovered by this testimony and the White House's subsequent attempts to handle information relating to Lewinsky, which showed indications of tampering. Clinton lied to cover up the affair, and he instructed others to lie on his behalf to obstruct justice, according to the investigator. Many onlookers saw resignation or impeachment as the only viable options. The Lewinsky scandal engulfed the American public for the subsequent 7 months. The American people had not been so captivated by anything since Watergate and Nixon's resignation. A number of shocking details were revealed, including taped interviews in which Lewinsky discussed the affair in detail, and a garment that had DNA samples from the president. After testifying before a federal grand jury on the subject, Clinton admitted in a national television address to his inappropriate behavior with the Lewinsky, as well as to having deceived the nation and brought shame upon his family on August 17, 1998. He did not, however, confess to lying on behalf of others, or planning a cover-up involving any of these individuals. the House of Representatives received a report that said Clinton might be impeached for many charges, including lying under oath, obstruction of justice, and abuse of authority. The recommendation to begin an impeachment investigation came from the House Judiciary Committee after a string of live hearings and the disclosure of thousands of documents. The committee's decision was entirely partisan. But then something shocking happened. After the frightening news, what came next? All right, let's go into it. In the end, Republicans' plan to impeach Bill Clinton backfired. Just before the impeachment vote in November 1998, the party lost 5 House seats and failed to win any Senate seats. In off-year elections during a president's second term, the opposition party usually gains momentum. Hence, this result was quite unusual. A record high of almost 70% of the people approved President Clinton as the impeachment process progressed. The American people lauded Clinton's presidency despite their doubts about his honesty and morality. His actions had those who wanted him censured, but not removed from office. The general population saw the Republican assailants as partisan extremists who were using a private incident to further their own political goals. As a result of her poised response, Hillary Clinton's popularity surged, surpassing that of her husband. As a First Lady, her popularity skyrocketed as she deftly handled the hurdles. It was a sign of the public's respect for the Clintons' leadership that they were able to persevere through the storm. The result of Clinton's impeachment procedure was a reflection of the public's happiness with her administration. He managed the economy and other critical matters well, and people approved despite the scandal. As a result of the Republican strategy's failure, Clinton came out on top. American politics were forever changed by Bill Clinton, the first president from the baby boomer generation. Martin Walker and Bob Woodward, 2 authors, said that Clinton's triumph was due to his smart campaigning, charisma, and imaginative use of sound bites. And memorable performance by Clinton on the Arsenio Hall show, in which he played the saxophone and further won over the audience, was a watershed moment in his cultural influence. Some conservative religious leaders began to refer to him as the MTV president after this incident because they considered him as a representation of the modern era. A separate title, Slick Willie, was bestowed upon him by his adversaries and was a constant reminder of the criticism he endured throughout his administration. In spite of the complaints, Clinton's friendly and approachable personality won him the loving moniker Bubba when he ran for president in 1992. Later in life, he would be called the Big Dog because of the lasting impact he had on Democratic politics and the party platform. Clinton's ability to articulate complicated issues and criticize Republican policies was on full display in his widely publicized speech at the 2012 Democratic National Convention, which demonstrated his continued relevance in American politics. He also earned the nickname Explainer-in-Chief for his prominent role in Barack Obama's 2012 presidential campaign. Like his presidency, Clinton's relationship with African Americans was intricate and multidimensional. He garnered a lot of community support and made racial harmony a top priority throughout his leadership. Some saw Nobel laureate Toni Morrison's statement that Clinton was the first black president as a criticism of the public's interest in his private life, which led to controversy. Morrison said that Clinton's legacy is complicated because it mirrored the prejudices and double standards that black people endured. Despite the turmoil that has surrounded Bill Clinton's life, his tenacity, resolve, and dedication to public service are essential to understanding his biography. Clinton had a happy and a sad childhood as William Jefferson Blythe III of Hope, Arkansas, born on August 19, 1946. Virginia Dell Cassidy was left to raise Clinton alone when his father, William Jefferson Blythe Jr., died in an automobile accident 3 months before to his birth. Clinton was left in the care of his grandparents, Eldridge and Edith Cassidy. when his mother, Virginia, went to New Orleans to become a nurse. Despite the pervasive racial segregation in the South at that era, the Cassidys' modest grocery shop in Hope, Arkansas, served as a community center, welcoming customers of all races and allowing them to purchase items on credit. Roger Clinton Sr., who was a co-owner of an auto company in Hot Springs, Arkansas, remarried his mother when Clinton was getting older. At the age of 15, Clinton took his stepfather's surname in an effort to get closer to him when the family moved. Still, there were plenty of flaws in Roger's life. Bill Clinton's stepfather had a gambling and addiction problem, and he publicly discussed the verbal and physical violence he endured at his hands. Clinton took comfort in her music and her knowledge despite these hardships. He was an outstanding student leader, reader, and pianist throughout his time at Hot Springs High School, Ramble Elementary, and St. John's Catholic Elementary. Clinton excelled on the tenor saxophone and was named first chair in his section of the state band. He and fellow musician Randy Goodrum formed the jazz combo The Three Kings out of a deep passion for music. Clinton's life events inspired him to become a public servant and molded his perspective on the world. His autobiography, My Life, reveals that he toyed with the idea of a lifelong musical career before deciding to pursue politics instead. Clinton, realizing his true calling was in public service, followed his heart's desire to help people and sought a career in politics. One formative experience was when he challenged himself in Latin class at Hot Springs High School to defend the historical Roman Senator Catiline in a mock trial. Clinton astonished his instructor, Elizabeth Buck, with a robust defense that showcased his developing rhetorical abilities and enthusiasm for discussion. His life took a dramatic change after he had this encounter. He decided he wanted to become a lawyer. However, Clinton's rise to fame was propelled by two events in 1963. The first was when he met President John F. Kennedy on his visit to the White House while serving as a senator for Boys Nation. Clinton was so moved by the experience that he decided to enter politics thereafter. Second, I'll never forget the day I saw the legendary "I Have a Dream" speech delivered by Martin Luther King Jr. Clinton was profoundly affected by King's stirring address and his call for a more equitable society. He committed the speech to memory and thought about its meaning often. Bill Clinton's education at some of the most famous universities in the world shaped his mind and inspired him. Clinton earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Foreign Service from Georgetown University's School of Foreign Service in 1968, thanks to scholarships. Clinton was an outstanding leader and student at Georgetown. He became a member of the service fraternity Alpha Phi Omega after running for class president and working as an intern and clerk in Senator J. William Fulbright's office. The prestigious Phi Beta Kappa Honor Organization admitted him because of his stellar academic performance. Clinton attended University College, Oxford, on a Rhodes Scholarship to further his education in economics, politics, and philosophy. He had intended to remain for 2 years at Oxford, but he had to leave early due to the draft and an offer to attend Yale Law School. Frank Aller, an American Rhodes Scholar that Clinton knew at Oxford, had a significant influence on Clinton due to his experiences with the conscription and subsequent deployment to Vietnam. Clinton's dedication to public duty and social justice was further strengthened by the terrible loss of Aller in 1971. Beyond his time in the classroom, Clinton had a rich Oxford experience, participating in university sports like basketball and rugby, and making connections with people like Sarah Maitland, a British writer and feminist who helped him develop a broader understanding of social concerns and the need of action. Following his administration, Clinton was honored with an honorary Doctor of Civil Law degree and a fellowship from Oxford University. These degrees and fellowships acknowledged his work toward global peace, his partnership with his wife, and his accomplishment in breaking the budget impasse. Clinton skillfully maneuvered through the stormy years of the Vietnam War, juggling anti-war advocacy and conscription deferments. He was able to devote himself fully to his studies in 1968 and 1969 because to the educational deferments he acquired as a Rhodes Scholar in England. On the other hand, Clinton's stance against the war was quite obvious. He was an active participant in anti-war demonstrations in Vietnam and even organized a march to end the war in Vietnam on October 19, 1969. Even though Clinton was aware he may lose his deferment, he was still getting ready to return to the U.S. and start law school. He looked into joining the National Guard and attending Air Force Officer Candidate School as ways to evade enlistment. Clinton had also planned to enroll in the University of Arkansas's Reserve Officers Training Corps program, but she never went through with it. Clinton sent a letter to the ROTC program commander outlining his feelings about the war and his hesitation to avoid serving in Vietnam via ROTC or the National Guard. If it meant keeping his political viability, he said he would serve in the military if called upon. It seemed quite improbable that Clinton would be called up because to his draft number of 311. But during his 1992 presidential campaign, questions about his behavior at the time came up again. Clinton was accused by Colonel Eugene Holmes, the Army commander who was engaged in her ROTC application, of trying to game the system in order to evade the conscription. James Carville, Clinton's campaign manager, persisted in having Clinton's rejection letter to the ROTC offer made public despite criticism. Carville thought that voters, especially those who were against the Vietnam War, would understand and respect Clinton's stance. Following his time at Oxford, Bill Clinton earned a J.D. from Yale Law School in 1973. During this year, he met Hillary Rodham, who would later become his wife, in the Yale Law Library. His lifelong political and personal companion, Rodham, would be born a year before Clinton. Clinton canceled his summer intentions to assist the George McGovern campaign because of their intense infatuation, which led to their moving in together in California after just 1 month of dating. Upon their return to New Haven for law school, Clinton and Rodham's friendship flourished further. Along with other future stars including Ann Richards, a teenage Steven Spielberg, and Ron Kirk, Clinton spearheaded McGovern's campaign in Texas in 1972. Both Clinton's dedication to politics and his network of powerful connections were strengthened by the experience. Clinton went back to Arkansas after finishing law school at Yale and took a position as a professor of law at the University of Arkansas. Quickly after entering the political arena, he sought the presidency in 1974, House of Representatives, but was defeated by Republican incumbent John Paul Hammerschmidt by a razor-thin margin. Clinton easily beat the Secretary of State and the Deputy Attorney General in the 1976 Democratic primary, paving the way for her to become the Attorney General of Arkansas. After waiting 2 years, he ran for governor, becoming one of the youngest candidates in Arkansas history at the age of 31. Being the youngest governor in the nation when he entered office at the age of 32, Clinton was nicknamed Boy Governor for his youthful looks. Clinton spearheaded educational reform and oversaw road upkeep in Arkansas while serving as governor. Healthcare reform for metropolitan areas was spearheaded by his wife, Hillary, and was a resounding success. Unpopular motor vehicle taxes and the mistreatment of Cuban detainees at Fort Chaffee were 2 sources of controversy during Clinton's first term. Even though losing in 1980 was a disappointment, Clinton bounced back the next year and went on to serve 10 years as governor. He strengthened his dedication to social welfare by remaking the state's economy and educational system, doing away with the sales tax on prescription drugs for the elderly, and expanding the exemption for homeowners from paying property taxes. Clinton was a prominent member of the New Democrats and an outspoken supporter of centrist views, smaller government, and welfare reform. Along with his role as head of the National Governors Association, and delivery of the Democratic answer to President Reagan's 1985 State of the Union speech, he expanded his influence beyond Arkansas. Under Hillary Clinton's leadership, the Arkansas Education Standards Committee instituted revolutionary changes, including mandatory teacher competence assessments, more funding for schools, and more opportunities for talented students. Many considered these changes to be Clinton's crowning accomplishment as governor. The Whitewater Inquiry, which dogged Clinton throughout his administration, was one of several scandals that dogged Clinton throughout his time as governor. No charges were filed against the Clintons, but the scandal did show that Clinton would be under investigation for the rest of his presidency. There has been a great deal of mystery and suspicion surrounding Clinton's tenure as governor of Arkansas, particularly around an apparently peaceful airfield near Mena. One of the most daring drug smuggling schemes in U.S. history allegedly had its epicenter at Mena Intermountain Municipal Airport. Allegedly, while evading federal law enforcement, Barry Seal, a former pilot turned CIA operative, planned the import of narcotics worth $3 to $5 billion via Mena. Arms transactions, illicit financing, and political machinations have entangled the Reagan administration in these activities, which have only a tenuous connection to the Iran-Contra scandal. Many wondered whether Clinton did nothing to stop the program, or even worse, if he was somehow involved in enabling it to flourish while he was in office. Nevertheless, while passionate assertions, neither official accusations nor definitive proof ever connected Clinton to the Mena operations. But while Clinton was in Arkansas, the shadows grew longer around him. Claiming to be involved in questionable financial deals, Clinton's administration's ethics were called into question by investigative journalist Sam Smith and others. His alleged drug usage as governor was brought to light by Jennifer Flowers, whose romance with Clinton made headlines throughout the country in the early 1990s. Concurrently, President Clinton pardoned Clinton's half-brother Roger after his arrest and conviction for drug-related offenses, a personal setback that Clinton subsequently overcame. It wasn't the end of the controversy. The Whitewater real estate project quickly became a target of inquiry, beginning a protracted probe that would follow him throughout his administration. Accusations that never were legally proven but contributed to Clinton's image as politically astute and personally irresponsible surfaced in Troopergate, when former members of the Arkansas State Police said that Clinton had used their services to enable extramarital affairs. Among the most disturbing was the 1987 discovery, on a railroad track, of the remains of two adolescent males named Don Henry and Kevin Ives. Their deaths were ruled an accident by official records, but private investigations suggested foul play. Accusations of a larger cover-up by Arkansas authorities and perhaps Clinton himself, in a frantic attempt to safeguard more powerful secrets related to drug smuggling at Mena, made the case a lightning rod for conspiracy theories. The Arkansas rule of Clinton was characterized by ambition shrouded in dispute, whether it be truth, fiction, or some combination of the two. And yet, in the realm of national politics, he persisted in carving out a lasting legacy. For the United States, the 1992 presidential race was a watershed year. With 370 electoral votes to George H.W. Bush's 168, Bill Clinton won the presidency and the legislature, ending 12 years of Republican hegemony. This was the first time that a single party had control of both houses since Carter. Even though he did not get any electoral votes, independent Ross Perot's substantial popular vote demonstrated the growing interest in third-party candidates. Many pointed to Bush's dwindling support, especially in relation to the economy, as the main reason for Clinton's victory. Perceptions among voters contradicted realistic assessments of recovery. Clinton used this feeling to her advantage by pledging a fresh beginning. He rallied his party and won over voters from all walks of life. and the Democrats rode on his coattails to victory in the House of Representatives. The third way, or moderate liberalism that strikes a balance between social advancement and budgetary discipline, was on full display during Clinton's administration. Even while the national debt was climbing, he managed to lower budget deficits and lead the United States through its longest economic growth during peacetime. An expansion of American economic interests and a boost in trade with adjacent nations were results of his administration's dedication to free trade, particularly NAFTA. Clinton oversaw centrist welfare reform that sought to end welfare as we know it, encouraging low-income families to work and become self-sufficient. Despite its contentious nature, the strategy represented a sea change in how the government dealt with social assistance. A record-setting 141 pardons and 36 commutations were awarded by Clinton before he left office on January 20, 2001, sparking discussion. Mark Rich's pardon, who had escaped from allegations of tax fraud, was the most contentious of the bunch. There were rumblings that Hugh Rodham, Hillary's brother, had taken bribes to sway the decision. After an investigation, federal prosecutor Mary Jo White, who was subsequently succeeded by James Comey, concluded that Clinton had committed no illegality. In addition to pardoning 4 persons associated with Whitewater, Chris Wade, Susan McDougal, Stephen Smith, and Robert W. Palmer, Clark also used his executive authority to protect allies, which sparked controversy. In keeping with Clinton's stance on second chances, Henry Cisneros, a former Secretary of Housing and Urban Development who admitted to lying to the FBI, was also granted clemency. Outrage that the White House was selling access erupted in February 1997 when records showed that almost 1,000 people had slept in the Lincoln bedroom. More than 80% of these people were significant Democratic contributors, and among them were Hollywood heavyweights like Spielberg and Fonda. Trent Lott, leader of the Senate's majority, demanded a probe, but Attorney General Janet Reno turned him down. The discovery that Chinese nationals had made unlawful contributions to the Democratic National Committee and Clinton's re-election campaign added fuel to the fire. Democratic senators cast doubt on the investigation's centrality and pointed to targeting at the congressional level, while Republicans spearheaded the probe and claimed PRC support. While these controversies certainly exacerbate party differences, they in no way diminished Clinton's overall accomplishments. For tuning in, I am grateful. Please subscribe, like, and comment. In addition, the video that is now playing on your screen is only one of many intriguing ones. After this, we'll meet again.